Hello everyone and welcome back to Forza Horizon 3. I'm here today for another jungle sprint episode and we're going to be using the Dodge Dart. Now I was kind of contemplating what type of vehicle to run. I haven't run a Dodge. I was also looking at BMWs and then I got looking at the last couple cars that we ran. We ran the HSV, we ran the LFA, the Mercedes and the Ferrari. They're all kind of the HSV is Australian, the Ferrari and Merc are kind of European in style. And I realized we haven't run a proper American car in a little while. So I was looking, I kind of wanted to go for a bit of an older style car. So I saw the Dodge Dart and I thought this would be a prime opportunity to run this car. I'm not sure if we're going to keep the standard engine in this car. I'm going to put the power, or basically I'm going to put as many parts on as I can and then come back to it. If we can, I am going for the 6.2 liter V8 double supercharged engine. It would put out a massive amount of horsepower. I'm going to keep it as all-wheel drive. I'll come back to the aspiration if I need to. I am going to put a supercharger in this car. I'm not going to put a turbo in it. It's just the kind of car that it is. I definitely would want to put a supercharger in it. It's just one of those classic American muscle cars that you kind of see them and you don't really think turbo, you think supercharger. I am going to put all of the handling parts that I can on this vehicle. We're likely to be getting a lot of horsepower out of this car, and I'm going to want as much control as possible in it. I'm not going to do anything to the transmission right now. Just going to put all of these parts on. I doubt that the standard engine will get us to the top of S1 class. We're just now entering S1 class, so I guess it's possible, but I just don't see it happening. We don't actually weigh as much as I thought we would. It starts off 3,100 pounds, which is a respectable weight considering the age and style of the car. I am just going to throw all of these on and see what we get for PI and power. Yeah, we're not even halfway through S1 class. We may need a engine swap. It is looking that way because all the power parts are on. We're not halfway through, and I doubt that the supercharger would add that much PI. Yeah, it doesn't add like hardly any. So it looks like we are going to swap the engine. I will go for, like I said, I could go for the V12, which is better, gives us more horsepower, less weight, that kind of stuff. I am going to go for the double supercharged engine though, just because I feel like a V8 and a muscle car, it's just one of those things that it kind of just goes together. How much horsepower does this give me? Nice, 7 for... it doesn't add that much weight. I'm going to keep the, or upgrade the supercharger in it. We'll probably need most of the power upgrades to get us to the top of the class. I'm hoping that we actually do get to the top because I don't want to have to use the V12. But it's starting to actually become very scary in the fact that I may have to use the V12, unfortunately. Yeah, because we've gone through most of these power upgrades now, and we're not close to the top of the class. I do still have to put on the likes of the clutch and the gearbox, but oh, okay. So the standard gearbox is rubbish, is what I'm getting from this. And putting in these gearboxes jump the PI up massively. Okay, so that's good to know. So actually the standard engine might have been able to get up to the top of the class, but I'm not going to go back and fiddle around with taking the standard engine back in and putting all the power upgrades on and all that kind of stuff. That actually adds PI. Okay, I guess. So yeah, now I have to actually take bits and pieces off. Probably the easiest way to do this is not displacement, camshaft. Ooh. We're going to have to take quite a bit off of this. in order to get it back down to where we need it to be. I want to try and keep exhaust on if I can. This is actually going to be a pain. Okay, what I'm going to do just to reset all of the engine parts is just see what I can do. Okay, put that on. No, not drivetrain. I just want to see if... Okay, so that would put me at the top of S1 class just with this engine alone. So with that, that would give me a little bit of space to upgrade. So, as much as I'd like to go for the double supercharged, it's actually a better engine than the V12. Gives me a little bit more horsepower, quite a bit more torque. It actually weighs less. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the double supercharged engine, and I don't think we'll actually have any room to upgrade anything on it, except maybe oil and cooling. We could. It adds some weight, but I'm going to go for it just for a little bit extra power. I don't know why I went to that. I wanted to go to flywheel. Guess we can't get a flywheel on the car. Not there. Did I put a drive line? Yes, I did. Okay, so this car, it's looking like a power to weight ratio that the Ferrari had. We do have maximum tire widths and grip that we can get on the car. 2,600 pounds, 667 foot-pounds of torque, and 728 horsepower. That is an immense power to weight ratio. It was always likely to happen with an older muscle car. They're generally, if you're maxing them out or getting them up to, say, S1 class, they're generally going to have a lot of power. So we shall take it around our Rainforest sprint circuit and see how it fares. Alright, we are here at the Rainforest Grand Sprint to take the Dodge for its first of 3 runs down the course. Now, I did have to go and have a bit of a mess around with the gearing ratios. I ran it down here, and before we got to just after turn 2, we were buzzing the limiter. So, yeah, that was not helpful at all. We were doing like 140 miles an hour buzzing the limiter. At that point, it's not fair to the car, considering we've had cars doing 170 down some of these sections of this course, which actually we just broke the 173 mile an hour mark cresting that hill, and that was quite scary. I feel like this car may actually end up being very similar to the Ferrari. It's going to have a lot of power, but lack the grip. Even though we have massive tires, we are talking about over 700 horsepower being put through the rear wheels, and it only weighs 2,600 pounds. So you're going to have tremendous acceleration. We actually are having an issue that we haven't seen in cars for a while. Cresting some of these hills, we are getting some wheel spin as we unload the suspension. We do have understeer there. We just barely kissed that wall. Luckily it didn't actually flag the lap time. Oh, that is something you have to watch out for. We do not have grip through there. This is going to put us in a bad situation coming down this hill. Managed to gather it all up and not go face first into a wall. Yeah, we are having some grip issues. We do have massive tires, so I'm kind of surprised that we are having issues with spinning up the wheels, but I am going to have to also be careful over these crests that are starting to cause some issues with wheel spin, which is not ideal at all. We did see the likes of that. The one that really sticks out to me that I can remember off the top of my head was the Ford Crown Vic had issues. That had, was it close to, or was it over 1,000 horsepower? And when it went over these crests, it just could not deal with them. I have made a complete and utter butchery of this first run. We just do not have the turning grip that I would like. We seem to be having a lot of understeer, and then when we go anywhere near the power, we just have wheel spin and sidewaysness. Like, even up in 5th gear, in a relatively high speed section, I got on the power and we kind of spun our wheels and went sideways. Now, this car, the only way it stands a decent chance of going quickly and high on our table is being able to accelerate like mad through these sections. We are doing 168 miles an hour up towards the chicane. We're really out of position. I think this car is actually one of the most difficult to drive that I've built so far for this series. It just wants to be going sideways and spinning the wheels up all the time, and even with a scrappy run like I had, we went at a 304.6. Now that puts us 304.6 puts us underneath of the HSV GTE SR and above the Pontiac Firebird. Now, if I can get a good run out of this car where I'm not sideways everywhere, which is going to be extremely difficult, I could see this challenging maybe the LFA. We are only about a second down on the LFA. I definitely think I can make up a second in time on this next lap if I have a good lap. Alright, we're going to take the Dodge for its second run. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a faster lap. I'm hoping that I can. I did push the car. Well, I'm saying push, but I pushed it past what its limits are. I wasn't intending to push it. It's just the limits of the car. They're quite easy to reach. Let's put it that way. It is not an easy car to drive. It's actually a bit more difficult to drive, I think, than the Ferrari F40. That you can kind of predict what it's going to do. This, it's even hard to predict what it's going to do sometimes. Like, through some of these slower speed corners, yes, you can predict it'll probably spin its wheels up and so on. But it has another problem where it's kind of floaty across some of these crests and cornering, which is not nice. We're actually spinning our wheels coming up that hill. That's what I'm talking about. I was talking about the last lap, I should say, with coming towards the crest of the hills. It just unloads the suspension a little bit, which makes it lose traction, and then it just spins. Not really beneficial because you're not getting any power down. It's not really negatively affecting you unless it spins and you're going into a braking zone, say, or basically you're kind of in the middle of a corner. That's when you have issues, because spinning the wheels while turning is never a good thing. Like, I had to have a lift there because I feared that we might actually spin our wheels going up that crest. It does just want to go sideways everywhere, and then when you try to catch it, you can catch it extremely quickly. That's not a problem. It's when you catch it, you end up going off the track in a direction that you don't want to be going. Which is a real problem, because then you could end up missing a checkpoint, you could hit a tree, you could just hit debris and lose a little bit of momentum. And momentum, if I can speak, my goodness, is very key. I've talked about this, I think it was in the last video, how cars need to be able to either A, keep up their momentum around the corner if they can't accelerate quickly, or they need to accelerate quickly if they struggle through the corners. Now, this car is definitely a car that struggles through the corners, there's no doubt about that. So it definitely needs to keep its speed up down these straighter sections. It needs to be able to accelerate extremely quickly in order to be able to pull off a good lap time. The last lap was a good lap time, we're up to 172 miles an hour coming into the chicane. I don't dare push it any harder through that chicane, actually. Now, this final corner, I've seen it claim many of victims, just the way that the corners open out. Oh, we were actually on for a decent run with that tire bundle. I've never actually met that tire bundle before. Well, that just screwed over that run completely. We did run it wide. I thought we were just going to, like, kiss the wall a little bit, maybe flag the lap. But no, we just completely got stopped dead by those tires. Those were the strongest tires I've ever seen. They must be made out of friggin' cement. yeah, that was an unfortunate end. We were literally like probably a second away from crossing the finish line. We were on for a decent lap time. Yeah. I guess we're just going to have to rely on the final lap. Alright, we are here for the last run with the Dodge. Now hopefully I don't run into that tire bundle there at the end of the course again. I've never run into that before. I've never even realized that that tire bundle existed, if I'm being completely honest with you. Yeah, I've never had that problem. That was kind of annoying. That ruined a pretty good run. It's going to be hard to get another run like that, or even a better run. I think we were on for quicker time. I don't know how much quicker, but it felt like it was a good run. And to get that with this car is going to be challenging to repeat that, because this is anything but a consistent car. It is actually the complete opposite of a consistent car. Yeah, as I was saying in the last run, you definitely need to be able to keep up your speed through the corners in this, and if you can't, you need to be able to just accelerate like mad out of these corners. You need to be able to put your power down effectively, which this car does do. It does put its power down relatively well out of these faster corners. It's the lower speed corners where it does struggle a little bit more putting its power down. But once it gets its power down, it just accelerates insanely. Oh, we are running wide. I thought we were going to hit a tree. Don't do what I did with the Mercedes SLK 55 on its final run coming down that hill. It got a little bit out of control and hit a wall. Thought the same thing was going to happen in this, which made for a very unfortunate turn of events for this car. Luckily, it didn't happen. Disaster didn't befall the Dodge yet. We still have another good few minutes here. Well, really, another minute or so for the Dodge. I think I slowed down a little bit too much there, coming into that sharp corner. I'm kind of on the edge of my seat with this car because I know it can go quickly. I just need to try and focus. Oh, we actually, I think, got a little bit of airtime there, or we pulled a wheelie, one of the two. Definitely felt like we got air, but I think it might just been the front of the car lifting up as I look at the skill chain. It didn't say that we got air. Oh, I messed up this section big time. I can't carry any speed through this section either. That's one of the dangers with this section. If you mess it up in a car like this, you can't carry speed through it, so you need to get it spot on to carry any amount of speed. Because the second you try and go on the throttle, you're going to end up going sideways and lose even more time. Up to the chicane doing 176 miles an hour, I believe. We get it nice and sideways there. Get it nice and slowed down, get it turned. Get that power down. Don't hit the wall. Well, we hit the wall anyways. A 305. Now that does put it, I believe, a little bit quicker. Not very much quicker than our first run. Our first run was, what, a 305.2, I believe? I believe that does put it above the HSV. I'm not 100% sure, because I just realized that I didn't actually put in the full time in my... I just have a notepad open with all the times for the cars, and I didn't put in the full time for the HSV. But, yeah, I believe it did go faster than the HSV. I mean... if it didn't, it would just be fractionally, very fractionally down on it. Unfortunately, it didn't go as high as I thought it would. I thought it might challenge the Ferrari. It just didn't have the control. It didn't have the grip, unfortunately. The Ferrari had that little bit more grip and was a little bit more predictable. This car, it just wasn't predictable. You couldn't get the power down as well as you could with the Ferrari. So, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, goodbye.